What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikiPikaPapa, and as promised, this is part 2 of the series where we look back at the original video where we ranked out the Sword and Shield booster boxes, and we based them, I ranked them based off of the average of the top 20 card prices versus the booster box price. It was a new metric. Nobody out there has been looking at it this way. I thought that there was some relevance to it, and the whole point of these last 2 videos is to look back and say, hey, are we onto something, or do we need to light this on fire? Well, the first video confirmed we don't have to light it on fire. We need more time and we need more data to figure out, if there is a there. But I will tell you, this has been really exciting. I am pumped with the direction this is heading. I have started to go through the same exercise for Sun and Moon. And I can't even put into words how thrilled I am to get that information in front of you all. I'm going to do that next weekend, but the preliminary results are incredible. I can't wait to share it with you guys. So with that being said, hey, if you are new to this channel, we do all kinds of fun data deep dives. Like we look at Pokemon from a bunch of different angles, the collecting, the investing, the fun side of things, right? We do a lot of fun stuff here as well, but we would love to have you as a member of this channel. Hit a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of cool content coming out ahead of us. So, and then also on top of that, hey, I forgot to mention every so often that we're doing a giveaway. We're almost at 500 subscribers, so I thought it would be a great opportunity to reward some of you guys out there who've been supporting me, especially those of you who've been there since day one. So at 500 subscribers, we're going to do a Crown Zenith Elite Trainer Box giveaway. I got a case of them, and they're kind of burning a hole in my pocket. So what better way to celebrate than to send one of those out to one of you guys out there? So, anyways, really excited for all of that. In this video, we're going to go high level, what the results were. We talked about it a little bit on Friday, but then we're also going to re-rank everything based off of the new metrics. So here's what we're going to start off with right here. This is the review of how everything performed when we stack ranked them the first time around. I got some great input. We color coded things. It makes it a little easier to track as we go through all of these numbers because this is a little bit of a data heavy video. But the performance overall was really exciting and really encouraging in regards to tracking this specific metric. So you have across the top, booster box price, average 20. Now, when I say average 20, that's the top 20 cards in the set. That's their average price. And then the top 20 versus booster box. So it's just the average top 20 card price over the booster box, and it gives us a percentage. If that number is 20, then the average cost of the top 20 cards is 20% of the booster box. So if the booster box is 100 and the average of the top 20 cards is 20, that's a 20% top 20 versus booster box number, okay? So when we look at how all of them performed, again, this was a bull market the last couple months, so no surprise to see that we had some strong results, right? All of the boxes on average were up 14.77%. We do see that Tier 1 and Tier 2 performed better than Tier 3, so yay there, right? That makes sense. And then the average top 20 cards, we see that all of them on average dropped 2.7%, but most of that was driven by a big dollar drop in Tier 1. Now, Tier 1 was our newest sets. In the original ranking, that included Evolving Skies, which had some heavy hitters. Like a lot of those have come down. I wouldn't even say back down to earth, but they've dropped a little bit. It also had Silver Tempest. Silver Tempest was dropped in November. We did the first video in December. So as one would expect, right, as those cards start to mature and as more product comes into the market, those single prices started to come down a bit. So really the average top 20 drop was driven by the drop in Tier 1 because Tier 2 and Tier 3, look at it, it only lost less than a dime each of them on average. So it's flat in my world. And then that ratio that I talked about, right, the average top 20 cost versus the booster box, as a whole, it came down 3.4%. But remember, we see the biggest drop in Tier 1, and we identified Tier 1 as that being the biggest gap. The thought process here, the hypothesis, is that, listen, the card prices are too high compared to the booster box price. So that means people are going to be buying a lot of booster boxes in order to rip them, in order to sell the singles or collect the singles. So in turn, since there's going to be a lot of people buying booster box, the booster box price has to go up. Or the single card price has to go down. It can work either way, but the thought process was that the booster box price was going to go up because a lot of people were going to be going after those single cards. So when we see the -7 on Tier 1, that was what we expected. The highest gap was there. We expected it to consolidate, and it did. And to me, this was really interesting how we see it drop -7, -5, and then almost flat for the bottom. That was pretty much exactly what I thought might happen. Now, we need a lot more data. In no way, shape, or form is any of this confirmed, is none of this set in stone, but it does tell us we have a decent jumping off point, okay? And now when I get into the next slide, we're gonna talk about this point of delineation where we see this really diverge from a growth perspective. And just before I even click over to that, because sometimes we get lost in numbers, sometimes we get excited in things we see, just remember, we need more data to validate this, we need more time. But it is fun to look at it, and I think that we definitely have a good starting point here. So on this side, this was the original Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 rankings, okay? I have them all written out right here. Remember, in purple, that is that average top 20 versus booster box price, okay? So you'll see that Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, it's top to bottom. Chilling Reign had the highest, then Evolving Skies, then Astral Radiance, then Silver Tempest. Then we went into Tier 2 where you had Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, Battle Styles, and Brilliant Stars. Then Tier 3, Rebel Clash, Sword and Shield, Vivid Voltage, and Darkness Ablaze. In green, you see the actual individual booster box price gain. So Chilling Reign, the booster box was up 25.4% over the last couple months. Evolving Skies up 15%. Astral Radiance, you guys can read it all. I don't need to read it all out to you. But the reason I took the time on this particular video to call these out individually was because of that line of delineation, which I was talking about, where you see it seems that the boxes or the sets where we had a 16% or higher, so remember, the average of the top 20 cards represented 16% of the booster box price. We saw a much larger gain in booster box price than we did in ones that were less than that. So you look at, the line starts at Battle Styles. So you see Battle Styles, Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, Silver Tempest, Astral Radiance, Evolving Skies, and Chilling Reign. And then where you see that number is less than 16, that's where you get into Brilliant Stars, Rebel Clash, Sword and Shield, Vivid Voltage, and Darkness Ablaze. So greater than 16, those sets were up 22.5%. Less than 16, they were only up 7%. So again, not saying that this is the number we're going to use or a flag we're going to plant in the sand, but this is awesome stuff that we're going to continue to look at. We're going to continue to digest. And in a couple months, we're going to come back and look at this again because we're about to go into the re-rankings. And when we come back and look at this again, maybe we'll see 16 as the number again. Maybe we'll see 20 as the number again. Maybe it'll be 8. I don't know. But now that we have these points of data, we can start to get really smart and we can start to build out these tools in our tool belt and we can play chess when everybody else is playing checkers. If you guys thought you were going to get through a video without me saying that, ha! You were wrong. All right? So let's get into the new rankings. And what excited me about these rankings, even though it didn't happen in Tier 3 is the same 4 sets, what excited me was Tier 1 and Tier 2 shuffled a bit. That's awesome. We expect that. We hope that happens. If we had the exact same tiers, there might not be that much of a there, but we've seen a lot of single price movement. We've seen a lot of booster box price movement. So to see that these are moving around, that's encouraging, that's exciting. Again, this whole exercise has been really exciting thus far. Now we'll see, doesn't mean we won't light it on fire, you know, in the next year, but for right now, it certainly is exciting. This is the same 4, but the average versus booster box is up in Vivid Voltage significantly. Okay, it's up to almost 11%. Now remember, Vivid Voltage is the only one where we saw the booster box price come down. Sometimes we look for things, one of these things is not like the other. Vivid Voltage, maybe it's a time to buy in, right? We like to buy low, sell high, not the opposite. So who knows? We'll have to look at that. I will say another cool thing about these lower tier sets is that 3 of the 4 chase cards were up. Darkness Ablaze, not so much. Vivid Voltage's top card went up. Rebel Clash's top card went up. Sword and Shield top card went up. But outside of that, there was little movement in the overall card values. These just aren't my favorite sets. These aren't where I think there's a lot of upside opportunity. I'm not saying that they won't grow, but I just don't know if they're going to grow as fast as some of these other sets we're going to talk about later in the video. Now again, this averaged versus booster box price is higher here. Look at the booster box prices. Sword and Shield is all the way up to 272. All of this is pulled straight from TCG players. So even though you might find it a little higher or a little lower on eBay or secondary market, I pull this data that way we have one consistent source of data points. That way it's consistent, right? Because we need the data to come from one source, so that's the way I pull all of this stuff. So those are Tier 3. Again, not a lot of change from last video. These are the same, but what's exciting to me is let's get into Tier 2. Tier 2 is where we saw Silver Tempest and Astral Radiance. They went from Tier 1 to Tier 2. Interesting though. The average to booster box, which is that metric that we use to rank these, or I use to rank these, it's flat. Okay, so they're still at 24.3 and 24.2. In the first video, they were at 24 and change as well. But what happened was we saw two other sets where that gap grew even more. So that bumped Astral and Silver from tier 1 to tier 2, and two other sets moved up, which is incredibly, incredibly exciting for me. So Battle Styles, the entire top 20 went up in price. I've been talking about Battle Styles. I think that that's a place where it might be worth a look right now. I think, you know, it's still very approachable. It's less than 115 bucks in booster box price. I think it's past the reprint window. If there's going to be any reprints at all, there's a lot of talk about that out there. So anyways, I think Battle Styles is something to look at. But even all of these, with the exception of Brilliant Stars, which has a booster box price of $182. I mean, look at the booster box, 118, 130 for Silver Tempest, 110 for Battle Styles. There's some really interesting things to look at here. Astral Radiance has some awesome cards in it. Silver Tempest has the big chase card. I don't know. Just really worth a look at these tier 2, and I was happy to see how all of this shaked out. And now, what everybody really likes to see is, let's see how everything shaked out in tier 1. So Fusion Strike and Lost Origin went from tier 2 to tier 1, okay? Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign, the average top 20 went up. The interesting thing here, and I referenced it in the last slide, was the average versus booster box price went up all across the place. Chilling Reign is on absolute fire right now. So every series has that big chase set, but a lot of them have a version 2.0. They have a big chase set, and then they also have a secondary one, which does really well as well. I think Chilling Reign is shaping up to be that. Chilling Reign, it's not even a brand new set, right? I think it was number 5 or 6 in the series that was dropped. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it has been marinating long enough. It has matured long enough that to see it still going up in price with the singles and the booster boxes, I just think it's got some momentum going. It might not slow down. Evolving Skies is, of course, Evolving Skies, especially if we don't get reprints. I think Evolving Skies is going to go absolutely nutty. Maybe not maybe XY Evolutions-esque, right? XY Evolutions is up to $700 a box, and it's 6 years old or something like that. So Evolving Skies could easily get and surpass that. Chilling Reign could get up to $400 or $500 over the next couple years. We'll have to see. So the interesting thing here is also the average booster box price when we looked at it 2 months ago was $148. Remember, I said we're in a bull market. This is up to 180 bucks. So really awesome opportunities here. I certainly think Chilling Reign is something where I'm probably going to pick up a couple booster boxes. I think getting any of these less than 150, 140 bucks. I mean, Chilling Reign is below 140. Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, all of those are below 140. Like, if you can get those now, I think in 3 to 5 years, we'll probably look back and be really, really happy with those prices. Evolving Skies too, and I said this a couple videos ago when it was at like 280, 290. Again, it's not being about being right, but I just felt like even though that's high and a lot of people are saying pump the brakes, I certainly don't mind pulling the trigger at 300 bucks for Evolving Skies. Full transparency, I haven't yet, not for any other reason than I'm just spending my money on other stuff right now. Like, I'm buying singles, I'm sending them to PSA. I've just got a lot of things that I've got going on, but if my world was a little bit calmer, I certainly would be looking at Evolving Skies. So that's it. I mean, I think this was a really cool video. I think we talked about a lot of awesome stuff. I'm going to link 2 videos here. So I'm going to link the very first video we did a couple months ago for your reference. And I'm also going to link the video that we did on Friday. Then, of course, I'm going to put the little PikiPikaPapa logo down there. If you guys want to subscribe, we would love to have you as a member of this channel. Friendly reminder, we got that 500 sub giveaway coming up, which I'm really excited about. It's Super Bowl weekend. You guys have a ton of fun. Please be safe out there. There's a lot of partying out there. So if you party, be safe. And if you're on the road, be very aware of your surroundings, because even if you're being safe, the thing that's most dangerous is the other people who aren't. I care about all of you. I want you to be safe and have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.